Greetings and salutations. Second Star right back with some more Raid Shadow Legends, and today we'll be talking about patch 1.13, which, even though it was scheduled to come out today, did not come out today. The launch window, I guess, has been delayed because there's inclement weather at Kennedy Spaceport, let's say, and now patch 1.13 should launch tomorrow, February 12th, year of our Lord 2020, if you're in the good old US of A, anyway. So something to look forward to. It includes a lot of new features, some new enhancements, some balance issues. It's pretty decent from what I've been able to ascertain. I do not like the fact that artifact sorting has been moved to 1.14. I was really looking forward to that because I've completely lost track of where all my artifacts are. I have too many champions. I've tried too many different things, ran too many experiments. I am baffled now as to where everything is. So we're just going to have to wait a little bit to do some more housekeeping on there. One of the things that they're adding in is something called the Battle Pass. After you go through all your tutorial levels and get to level 5, what have you, there will be 2 tiers available. A core tier for the free-to-play players, which adds in 4 new daily challenges that reset every day, whether you finish them or not, and just gives you some nice rewards and something else to do in the game besides, leveling food. There's also a gold pass. This gold raid pass stacks with the raid card, from what I understand, where you get the extra XP and silver and extra multi-battle attempts. So the raid card is not to be confused with the battle pass. I guess they're not replacing one another. So you have an extra thing to buy if you want to do the weekly quests, and if you finish these weekly quests, on your gold battle pass, you get more rewards. So it's just cool, another thing to do, another chance to get rewards. You will have to pay for it. It'll get a little bile in my throat from thinking that I have to pay for a raid card and a battle pass, but you know what? That's okay. So there's also adding in the Faction Wars Dwarf Crypt, which is nice. We've been waiting on that for a while now, right? And now some balance changes. They're adding in new debuffs and new buffs, right? So I can see that some of these are not to counter, but to accentuate ones they already have. Like strengthen is the opposite of weaken. Increase accuracy is the opposite, of course, of decrease accuracy. And they've also added in an increased crit damage and a decreased crit damage, as well as a decreased crit rate, because we have, of course, the increased crit rate already. The big one is the poison sensitivity. That's going to be a huge buff for clan boss and even just regular boss fights, where the less hit points the boss has, poison isn't quite as effective. But adding in that damage taken by 25 or 50%, that's going to be good, right? I'm interested in seeing that. Decreased crit rate, decreased crit damage, I'm also a bit interested in, because I always thought, when I was first playing, that if you can get your defense rating to a certain point, would that mitigate being critically hit? Like some games do that, but Raid does not. So if you want to think about that mechanic, you have to have this type of debuff. I don't know how it's going to work out. That'll take some testing. Buff strengthen, the opposite of weaken. So decrease your damage taken by 15 or 25%. Now, I think it seems, now I'm not a math whiz, but it seems like decreasing something just seems to work better than strengthening it. I don't know, maybe that's just my perception. Maybe my perception is off. But I always feel like if I, increase my damage, it's not as effective as when I decrease the opponent's defense. Maybe it's all in my head. That's what I feel about it. We'll do some testing. Increased accuracy. I've long lamented the decreased accuracy debuff, because you can't tell if it's working or not. You don't know what the opponent's accuracy is, so you don't know what you're doing to really mitigate it. Increased accuracy, I kind of dig, because you'll be able to see it on your info screen. You'll see, the exact number. I imagine that your accuracy is being increased, so you can see, you better know what numbers you have to hit. And increased crit damage. I love crit damage. It's kind of a cool buff. The clan boss changes is just going to mitigate the unkillable team, so that after 50 levels, it'll be able to strike through that. That's fine. I don't really care. Multi-battle, the no raid card gives you 30 multi-battle attempts, and a raid card gives you 100. And along with the things, we kind of went over the raid card a little bit. They're just increasing the number of battles you can do. Now, the champion rebalances are also interesting. Let me see if I can bring that up so that you can see it. Is that a media source? Yeah, here it is. Okay, now I apologize for it being a bit blurry, and yeah, this is going to happen, guys. Yeah, putting on my readers. Okay, as a quick aside, I am supposed to be wearing glasses just in general. But, in 2005, I was at a Nine Inch Nails concert in the mosh pit. I lost my glasses, the lens popped out, and I thought, okay, well, no problem. I did find them in the mosh pit. I found my glasses, and my wife found the lens, believe it or not. But I did find it in the mosh pit on the floor of the auditorium. And I thought, I should get these fixed. That was 15 years ago, and I still haven't got them fixed, so I haven't been wearing glasses. But I've been kind of getting by. But for stuff like this, yeah, up-close reading has been, all these years working in front of a computer have taken their toll. All right, so Angar has gotten a buff. His damage was really, really, from what I heard, a lot of complaints about his damage. So they changed the way his damage scales. It used to be hit point and attack, but I don't know how just making it off hit points is going to fix anything. I guess we'll find out, or someone else will find out since I don't have an Angar. His Infuriate now attacks all enemies one time, changed from 2 random attacks. That's a good change. And places a counterattack buff in addition to 30% reflect damage on the chamber for 2 turns. Okay. His Bravado, increased damage reduction. Now each hit taken will reduce damage taken by 5% up to 30% in run round, which is up from 4% to 20% in a round. Okay. Foley, I know I have a Foley, so any changes to Foley will be welcome for me, because he kind of sits in my vault most of the time. Sealed Fate now attacks all enemies and decreases their turn meter by 15%. Then attacks the targeted enemy. Enemies killed by the skill cannot be revived. So there used to be that there had to be 2 buffs on them for that to work, and so they're changing that. I'm happy to see that. Increased speed by 6 from 94 to 100. Good times. Sathalia. Okay, Sathalia is sitting in my vault, guarding it nicely. But they have changed her a lot too. So her Lordly Embrace, which is her heal, right? Additionally places a block debuffs buff for 2 turns. And Ascended now removes all debuffs from a target ally before healing them. Also heals all other allies by 20% of their max hit points and fills their turn meters by 15% if the target is fully healed by this skill. Okay, so you definitely want to make sure that you can fully heal an ally to get the max impact of that skill. Okay, Aggress skill has been reworked. There's a 75% chance of removing all buffs from all enemies. Okay, then decreases the turn meters of all enemies by 10%. Okay, and fills the turn meters of all allies by 10%. Okay. Also decreases the turn meters of all enemies by 20% and fills the turn meters of all allies by 20% if 5 or more buffs were removed. Okay, 5 buffs. So there's not a whole lot of dungeons where you're going to see that, but in Arena, man, I am so sick of those. Yeah, I have Duchess Lilitu and I have Krisk, and you can't even read what's happening on the screen because there's so many buffs. So that would be a nice counter to that. I appreciate this taking place. Shamrock. It's nice to see him being buffed again. Luck Swap now additionally has a 31st chance of stealing the removed buff. Good. Lucky Charms has been reworked. Places a 60% decreased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns. Also places a 30% increased speed buff on all allies with more than 50% hit points for 2 turns. Oh yeah, this is going to be wordy because it's all luck based. This is his RNG skill. It has a 50% chance of placing a 30% increased crit rate buff on all allies for 2 turns. Places Revive on Death buff on all allies with less than 50% hit points for 2 turns, with a 50% chance of placing a 50% continuous heal buff on those allies for 2 turns. Okay, there's a lot to take in there. I guess they made it so it does more things more things with more consistency. It looks like they made this skill a bit more consistent while still keeping in a little bit of the random factor, which is fine. Uncatchable additionally fills the turn meter of all allies by 15% if any enemy's turn meter is below 50%. That's kind of cool. Does it do it more than once? That would be interesting. Okay, so Tormin. Now this is going to be how am I gonna say this? Now does not work with effects from artifact sets, which I agree with. Turn meter filling effects from masteries, I can see that. Healing, I can see that too. Or those buffs or effects that take place at the start of a round. I kind of think that I thought that was his point though. I thought he was the speed meta killer. So if they're still doing all the stuff at the start of the round and Torm just sits there looking at him like an idiot, it seems like that was his value, was people that do a whole bunch of buffing and stuff at the start of a round before you have an opportunity to do anything, and especially speed. I thought that was his point. I thought that was the point of him being there, was everyone who's speed buffing at the start of a turn is punished for it by Torment. I guess I'm wrong. Okay, so where is my video capture device? I'm gonna shut this off so I can scroll down. Okay, and then Annika. Oh, finally, a buff for Annika. I don't have Annika, but they really tried to rework her a lot. And I remember reading her skills originally going, why do people say she's bad? I read the skills and go, oh, okay, that's really bad. Okay, so even the odds, attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 50% chance of placing a leech debuff for 2 turns, or attacks all enemies 2 turns if the champion is under a veil buff. Okay, and that now places a perfect veil buff up from 75% chance. So now it's just a place without any RNG involved. And Ascended now places a perfect veil buff for 3 turns, up from 2. Additionally grants an extra turn. Sweet. Okay, that definitely Ascend Annika to definitely get the use out of that skill. And Elven Judgment now ignores shield buffs on enemies. Also removes shield buffs from targets if the champion is under a veil or perfect veil buff. Then deals extra damage equal to 50% of the value of the removed shield buffs. That is awesome. Okay, I've been really experimenting a lot with ignore shield, ignore block damage in the arena. I've been using Crypt Witch on my free-to-play account, and Crypt Witch is awesome. Actually, I think I played like 30 rounds of arena in a row yesterday, just with picking targets that have high defense and a lot of shields, because her A1 ignores shield and block damage, and her A3 ignores defense if the target's faster. So everyone's speed meta mostly. So, you have Roshkard the tower? I don't care. I would attack. Usually I avoided Roshkard like the plague. Some guy had Roshkard and Christ. I don't care. I would go in there and Crypt Witch would wipe the floor. Actually, I made a video of Crypt Witch, and it's actually been working better than when I made the video. So Annika is now in that tier, the anti-shield tier, and you see shield so much in arena. This is actually really cool. I'm pleased with the changes that they've made. So that's pretty much all I want to talk about right now. I'm excited for this patch. I'm excited for these reworks. I have a Foley and a Cythalia and a Shamrock ready to go, and I have a Tormund ready to be upset with, I suppose. But we knew that Tormund nerf was coming. I think that a lot of people are disagreeing with me. I know that a lot of people are saying Tormund's still going to be strong. And yeah, he is. But I just think that the speed buffing at the start of the round was his whole point. I thought that was his point, and they're kind of making it not the point anymore. And I don't know. I'm not going to say I'm unhappy with it, because I can find a way around it. It's just, I thought it was kind of cool to give a middle finger to all the speed meta people that you fight in the arena. But c'est la vie, as they say. So thank you. I appreciate your watching. There's a lot of patch 1.13 videos out there, so I appreciate your watching mine. And please comment, like, subscribe. I would appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I will see you next time.